shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! That, my friends, is quotes from Robot Man in the second episode of Doom Patrol.
That was quotes
And
from
and
Robot Man through every episode of Doom Patrol.
and I don't know about Jeff, but this show, that when I first watched it, it's like a tour de force of awesomeness. And I think those quotes like sum it up. Like you're watching it, and you're like, you can't believe what happens next in every scene.
I
It's
mean,
just it's such a fantastic show so far.
let's put it this way. We have probably the greatest character performer I think I've ever seen in and I can't remember his name now, but the guy that played Wash on Firefly, he
Alan
plays
Tudyk.
Mr. Nobody. What's his
Yeah,
name?
Alan Tudyk.
He's one of my every time I see him, no matter what it is, whether it's V, Buffy, to Firefly, this show, when I hear his voice, I get excited immediately, just because he's
Hmm.
that well. And the other one he did where he was Alpha, Dollhouse. It's everything that he's done. I glom onto, and I think it's amazing. This was Brendan Fraser's probably best performance ever. And then you add to that a farting donkey that's a key to another universe. How could this? Oh, and let's not forget the puppets. The puppets in episode three. Oh, it was greatness from start to finish.
Yeah, you mentioned Brendan Fraser. I'm glad you did because I was going to bring that up as well. It's amazing because like Brendan Fraser, you and I are roughly the same age,
Right.
and like when we were teenagers, there was Encino Man, and then a few years later there was The Mummy and The Mummy Returns, and people were kind of gaga over Brendan Fraser for a while, and I just never got it.
Oh, wait.
I didn't like Brendan Fraser there. I in Encino Man, I didn't like him in trying to play like a Harrison Ford type character in The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. I just couldn't buy it, which is why I didn't like those two movies. Um, and then, but here he's looking like the long lost. Uh, oh, now I lost it. He looks like he's looking like fat and out of shape, but he's just fantastic.
You
He kind of holds the hero's side together, and and I re- oh, the lost the long lost Quaid brother is what I was thinking, um, and I just think he's fantastic in this role, and I really enjoy him here.
there's two things that Brendan Fraser always reminded me of. Not Alec Baldwin, Stephen Baldwin in Encino Man. Probably because didn't Stephen Baldwin play a similar character to Brendan Fraser's Encino Man?
Got
Uh,
me, man.
that movie with Pauly Shore where they were locked in the environmental dome or whatever.
Oh yes, yes he
Brent,
did.
Brendan Fraser and Encino Man and Alex Baldwin were always two of a kind
Bio
because of that.
Biodome.
Biodome,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
then, of course, his cinematic greatness. A, a little known movie called Once Bitten, where he basically played a vampire's lover. It was god awful on a level that is beyond Patrick Dempsey's early 1980s stuff.
Hey, if you want to watch a vampire love story, you cannot beat Love at First Bite. I'll tell you that much right now.
I went on a stretch one time when I was in college where I had to watch every vampire movie ever made, and I saw some real gems, let me tell you. Woof. Anyway, Brendan Fraser in this, just his the demeanor that he sets up in the first 5 minutes of the show, being that cocky race car driver and just everything about him, lends perfectly so you still see that character when you're looking at the robot.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'm totally serious about him being looking like one of the long lost Quaid brothers. I did not realize it was Brendan Fraser at first. I was like, what is that, like Dennis Quaid's brother
Right.
playing this or something? You know,
Uh,
that really was an honest reaction on my part. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, he's great. He's great as a cocky race car driver. Then later on, he's just great, like emoting, and you feel his pain when he finds out his daughter is still alive and he's been lied to all this time.
right. But still, my favorite was the start of
But
episode two.
and you know what, Jeff, when I pitched this to you, I told you um, it was like the DC's version of the X-Men, and you were like, yeah, I got to see this. But tell me that the professor in this, the chief, isn't as much of a dickhead as fucking Professor Xavier is. He might as well
Oh,
goddamn be Professor X,
yeah,
you
he's
know.
worse. He's actually worse because he's more
And that's fucking tough
manipulative.
to do. That's tough to do.
Yeah, he's more manipulative where
Dude,
um
I don't know. I mean, Professor X once brain wiped the X-Men to make him think that he was dead for over a year. So I don't know how much more manipulative you can get than that. But this guy does certainly at least come close.
yeah, he's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I'm trying to find his exact quotes at the start of episode 2 because that was just greatness.
Who's Robot Man's?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also love when he goes, "Oh, Cyborg, the guy who sticks his nose in, nobody has to be here. That guy."
And his line's like, "I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, but what I have is the fucking donkey." Just everything he did in that was just amazing. I loved.
It's like, what does the donkey? And then Cyborg's like, "What does the donkey got to do?" He says, "That's what I'm trying to figure out, asshole."
Yeah, he's just great. Uh, that I think that episode 2 might be my favorite episode of the entire season. Well, I guess I've only seen 3, but man, that was
Yeah.
great. And then shoving what's her name down the throat of it, Rita Farr, Elastigirl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just everything about it was amazing. But the way Brendan Fraser's quote, just the shit he says, is just absolutely outstanding.
It is, and we'll see some more tour de force performances in this show, like especially um, from Crazy Jane later on as more and more of her personalities come out. But I mean, I think by far, Roman Man is a standout character so far.
Oh yeah, and I have to say it too, but really like Silver Tongue, that personality of Crazy Jane. That might be one of my favorites
Yeah,
so far. So far, I mean, there's a lot to go yet.
yeah. I mean, I guess the only character in this show that, at least to this point in it, that I'm really not a big fan of is Rita. I mean, she doesn't really do much other than blob. So
Yeah, but she hasn't gotten to her. It's amazing too because she's been around since the 50s, but she hasn't figured out her powers yet.
yeah, well, she really hasn't cared to. She was just trying to live in isolation.
True.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing here is that unlike Professor X, the chief wasn't interested in training these people to use their powers or abilities. He was just kind of giving them a home to live in, or at least as far as we know at this point. And he never really wanted it to be like a super team or to help people or anything like that. Hell, he didn't even want Cliff to know who his fucking daughter was, or
Right.
that his daughter was still alive. So, um, I also think Matt Bomer does a fantastic job here um, as Negative Man. I'm trying to think of his real name. Top of
Larry,
my head, I can't. Yeah, Larry.
the pilot.
I really enjoy his character as well. He's kind of a, he was in all aspects of it. I mean, I enjoy him um, as in the role he's in present day, but also like you can just feel the conflict within him in his past lives too. I think this show is very, very well cast all the way around.
Yeah, I really do too, and I really like it. Just the things that come out of Cliff's mouth, Robot Man, is just it's fascinating to listen to because he's such an arrogant asshole, but he has nothing left but his brain and a robot voice.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating to watch, and I swear to you, that guy makes me laugh every single time. There was another quote that he had that just blew me away. It was in the second episode when they were chasing Jane, and now I can't remember what it was. God, it's been 2 weeks since I watched it, so I'm kind of having short-term memory loss. But man, there was
No,
a
I
lot
mean
of great stuff.
no, there is, and I think another great thing about Cliff's character is that he kind of speaks for the audience too. It's like, why don't you fucking try this?
Right?
Yeah, he's got his brain in there, but he was never the best world's best thinker anyway. So,
No.
what he and he does have a big heart, and this character always seemed to have a big heart. He just liked to put his other body parts in places it didn't belong, you know. But I mean, his heart's in the right place, and he's trying to be, he's trying to do good. It's just that he doesn't always work out for him, and um, he's got a bit of a potty mouth.
Okay, I can't wait for this quote. I'm trying to find the quotes from that episode, and it's Vic's not like us. He's fucking cyborg, a real superhero. He can use his computer thingy, bust himself free. I don't know, send a text to Batman or something.
Oh, yeah, I also love when he took the keys. That was great.
Yeah. Well, and when they were discussing his butt printer, that,
Yeah,
where do you get toner for your butt printer? Oh my God, such just fun. It was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch, and getting to know Mr. Nobody, and what made him tick, and not really knowing who the narrator was throughout the first episode, was really entertaining because all you heard was his voice. And people that are fans of his knew what they were expecting, but then to actually see him was kind of a treat. I just want to know how he gets to where he got to where he is. Because we're seeing everybody else kind of grow, but we're not really seeing where he came from. He's just all of a sudden a bad guy that has a farting donkey.
yeah, that's true. I don't remember if that we actually ever. Oh no, we do. I'm sorry, we do get a backstory on that. So
Okay, yeah, because all we saw was in the first 5 minutes of the first episode where he was seeking out the doctor. And the whole Puppet Patrol thing too, in episode 3, where they went to a puppet show and then met that dude that turned into like half a dinosaur, half a plant
yeah, that was great.
at the end of episode 3. Just unreal.
The funny thing is, the first time I watched that episode, like at the end of it, I was like, "Where'd that guy come from?" When I watched it again for this show, I was like,
Yeah, he was
"Oh,
there all along.
yeah, he was."
It it it's entertaining. It's very I watched it while my kids were playing PlayStation, and Jacob kept looking over to me going, "What are you watching? That's hysterical. I need to watch that." Because all he hears is what they're saying. He doesn't actually
Right.
see what's going on. And all of a sudden, I'm over here giggling, and he's like, "Rewind that. I got to hear that again."
Yeah. I don't blame him because it's great.
Yeah, the dialogue in this is absolutely fascinating. It's probably one of the best written dialogues I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, and then there's also like some humanizing here things here from where Cyborg is in here's kind of like starting to realize that he's kind of isolated, even though he's the one that was like in a big city and wasn't and was out there actually helping people. He's the one that he kind of has like an isolated personality where he's talking to Cliff and he says to about Jane and he goes, well, how does she work exactly? And Cliff kind of looks at it like it, and Cliff, he only has that one expression, but we can tell he's kind of dumbfounded when he goes, "Work? She's not a fucking machine," and I have no idea. So,
Well, Cliff
you
Cliff with his being able to show us his expressions without actually with just through just his words,
mm-hmm.
it is it's an acting masterpiece. And it's one thing that might be
By
Brendan
Brendan
Fraser's
goddamn
right.
Fraser.
This might be Brendan Fraser's greatest role ever because he's able to pull this off with just his words.
Right.
It's just it's really really well done. Really well done. I actually like. I mean, we've seen what, three backstories. We saw Cliff's, we saw Negative Man, and we saw Elastigirl. We saw their backstories, and we kind of, in a roundabout way, got a backstory of Jane in the third episode, but I don't really consider that a true backstory yet. I feel like there's a lot more for us to learn about her.
Yeah, we got an entire episode of Jane's backstory coming up.
Okay.
And you missed that we got Larry's backstory as well.
Yeah, Negative Man.
Okay, oh, negative man. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I was thinking you said Mr. Nobody. So
No, I mean we kind of got a little bit of Mr. Nobody and the crazy professor. crazy Nazi professor in the third episode, but not really on Mr. Nobody. I did like his narrating them in the donkey when they went through the donkey and into another world. A little sad the donkey blew up though.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be kind of amazed. I think at the Chief's backstory too.
Oh, well, it doesn't
So,
surprise me because he seems like one of those guys that, especially when you found out that he is as old as the professor was and he didn't look that old,
hmm
that kind of tips me off to that there's something extra happening.
no, it's yeah, but it's super weird. So,
Oh, all right. Well, that should be fun.
and that's pretty much an episode of itself too, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, and I had said last week that it was only 12 episodes in the season. It was actually 15 episode season.
Is it
So
really?
it is. Yeah.
I didn't realize there was that many episodes.
Yeah. I don't know how many are in the second season, but I know
Not a
there's.
lot because there's only 24 total.
Oh, so there's only 9 in the second season. Well,
Unless
that's
season one is shorter than you thought it was.
no, it's 15 episodes. I looked.
Nope, it's only 12.
Oh, then I looked wrong.
Oh, no, 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 you're right. It is 15. It
Then
is
I looked
15.
right.
Yeah, it is 15.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing that you and I have talked about before is I don't care if one season of a show is 15 and one episode and the next season is only 9 because they should tell the story in the amount of episodes it takes to tell the story, not stretch things out or try to fit things in and cram it all together either.
Or try to do a 22 season or 22 episode season that has like 7 or 8 weeks that just are completely off topic,
Right.
have nothing to do with the actual show. It's just a funny little ha ha. Let's do a musical this time. I'm looking right at you, Flash. Is that season two or season three where they just dedicated an entire episode to a musical out of nowhere?
I'm actually watching Flash again right now as you know in season 4 and I'm really enjoying the character of the Thinker and I just saw his origin story today.
The
So,
Thinker? You're
yeah.
talking about DeVoe?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's an entertaining and he gets I think I'm about episode 16 now of that season because I'm watching everything in order. So of course started with Arrow and then added Flash and Supergirl and uh Legends and um now Black Lightning.
Right.
And I'm kind of there with you too where it's like he DeVoe is probably like I really did like the Zoom character. I kind of liked um I can't think of his name now. Jesus, I'm having trouble with names. In
Reverse
the
Flash.
no, in the third season.
You ate Savitar?
I liked the premise of Savitar. I liked the fact that he brought out more Killer Frost and stuff like that than actually liking Savitar. I thought Savitar himself was poorly done, which was weird because it's the same guy that plays regular Flash, and I like him.
Yeah.
I
The season.
just didn't like him playing himself as an evil Flash. That just didn't sit well with me.
I as you know, I thought the third season was terribly boring.
But season four, that the character Ralph is one of the greatest things ever, and he just gets better throughout the season. And then of course they add some, other kind of one-off characters throughout that bring some entertainment to it. But DeVoe and Ralph season four makes season four probably the best one I've seen so far.
Yeah, I enjoyed those two characters, and I was actually kind of surprised that Ralph wasn't in this last episode, but they had a lot to get through. So,
Well, and I don't know
and
why,
and
but
there and the last couple episodes also after kind of having a bit of a spotlight episode, the last couple episodes, Vibe has barely been in there too.
yeah, and they is has no, I'm thinking of Legends. Okay, yeah, Snart joined Legends. Two things I love about time travel and other dimensions is that there's certain characters who were great but died that continually come back every season in one way or another. And Snart making a return as a gay
Freedom Fighter.
No, I wouldn't. He was so not Snart,
Yeah,
but you could definitely still see Snart in there.
yeah. He came back as Leo.
Right, which was amazing. And I was so sad when he left because his little after Firestorm died, when or after Martin Stein died, and he was trying to get everybody to talk to the puppet, was one of the
Hmm.
best things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about these DC shows is that they have because they've already um, because they have that history of there being multiple universes in the DC universe. You can have these shows and movies where they have the same character but played by different roles.
Right.
Different actors in the role and a different type of character. So we do eventually see Bruce Wayne in the uh, the WB's DC universe, but it's a different Bruce Wayne than we see in Titans, for instance,
Or in Gotham, or in
or yeah, Gotham, or the
anything
Dark
else.
Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Doom Patrol is great stuff. If you guys have not been watching it, I totally recommend you catch up with us. So probably not next week because I've got a lot of things going on this weekend, but probably in 2 weeks we'll be talking about the next 3 episodes. So episodes 4, 5, and 6: Cult Patrol, Paw Patrol, and Doom Patrol Patrol.
And if you have to do anything,
And
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 I'm
and, and as I'm sorry, Jeff, I just said that, so I don't want to lose my train of thought there. But as the grandfather of a 3-year-old, it cracked me the fuck up when I first saw the first episode of the show called Paw Patrol.
well, the fact that you just said it, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, it kind of cracked me up a little bit too.
Yeah,
Just because I'm like, oh, this should be good.
yeah.
Um, but I might go back and watch Donkey Patrol again just for Cliff in that episode. That first half hour of that episode, he was absolutely amazing. Just the way he it talks to everybody, everything he does, I just absolutely loved him in that episode.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
gonna be
And I
hard,
already, and,
gonna
and I
be
already did.
gonna
So,
be hard pressed to find a better episode than that one.
oh, we got plenty of more brilliance coming up.
Oh, well, good. That I'm happy for.
All right.
So, guys, we've kind of made an adjustment to our schedule. We'll be doing this on Monday nights. We're going to try for every week, but like we said, next week is a rough one because Shane has some obligations to do. And to be honest, I could probably use a little time to just binge the Arrowverse. But regardless, so
And
next,
hang out with your son.
he won't be here until Monday next week anyway. So, well,
Oh,
yeah, so I guess that actually works out perfectly because normally I have him the weekend before. So it'll be nice not to, oh, hey, buddy, just watch some more TV. Daddy will be with you in a half hour.
right.
Um, but yeah, and then so we'll be doing this. We shoot for every week, but like I said, next week we're gonna have to take a week off. Last week we had some personal things that went on, but ultimately we're gonna try to do this a pop culture show every single Monday at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, and then we'll be doing our Kingdom of Honor regular show on this channel and also on the Lords of Pain channel on YouTube, and that will be every single Tuesday at 7:30, uh, for the time being. And then, of course, all those shows will also be on Patreon, and also once per week, we'll be recording a Patreon exclusive show. This week, we're looking at Showdown the Sun from 2012 Ring of Honor. That is going to be night two, and that is going to be up later tonight here exclusively on our Patreon channel. So you guys definitely take a take a look at our Patreon channel. It's definitely worth your time. And if you are listening to this, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell because you get pop culture talk, plus you also get some great wrestling talk on Tuesdays, and you know we also take suggestions. Once we're done with Doom Patrol, we're going to be looking for something else, and it's up to you guys to decide what we talk about. So, yeah,
Yeah. And if you don't tell us what to talk about, then we'll just watch whatever we want to watch. So
which
there.
is more than likely what's going to happen anyway.
Yeah. And
Just kidding.
what's that?
I was just kidding. We take suggestions, believe us. Our fan Ryan has given us suggestions in the past, and we have taken it.
Yes, we have. Um, yeah. Another thing I've been watching lately, Jeff, is I subscribed to Poker Go, so I've been watching the 2009 World Series of Poker. A little bit behind, but still, I haven't seen it before. And I tell you, watching some of those pros misplay hands makes me think, oh, I can be just as good as those guys can be.
You know,
Like when I watch Daniel Negreanu do a min raise with pocket aces and have four of the people jump in the pot with him, or when I see Eric Lindgren have an ace queen on a board that's ace 4 4 10 7 and fold to a bluff on the river. It's like, come on, what are you doing folding to a half a pot bet on the river when you got two pair with a queen kicker? It's just crazy.
so is this what it sounds like when I start talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Probably.
All right, just making sure.
Are you not a poker fan?
I I'm a poker fan, but it's a lot like bowling. I just can't watch it on TV. I'll play it. I love to play it. Sometimes I get into like the video game playing, but ultimately it's one of those things where I just can't watch it on TV, kind of like bowling, kind of like golf. I love playing golf, can't watch it. Nope, But turn on a hockey game and I'm stuck. This weekend, I bet you I watched all 8 of the playoff games that were televised.
Oh wow.
Because I am a honest to God hockey fan. Baseball is football is second. Baseball and basketball are kind of right there. But oh, and speaking of which, I don't know if you heard this today, but The Rock now owns the XFL.
I did not know that.
He purchased it this morning for $15 million to keep it from going bankruptcy. So, and he has promised to continue the league going forward. So it looks like we're going to have the XFL again next year, thanks to The Rock.
Huh.
And the fact that he got it for only 15 million sounds like a steal to me. I'm thinking that Vince might have owed him some back pay.
It didn't actually make sense to me that Vince had scrapped it again anyway, considering the fact that despite the fact that it had falling ratings, it was still making money. It still had better ratings than pretty much anything else that was being aired in that time slot. So I mean, really, there was no reason for Vince to get rid of it other than just to as a short-term money-making move.
The other thing I still don't understand why he got rid of it in 2001. He needed to make a few adjustments, just change a few things up, which, going through growing pains, he tried something, didn't work. Okay, let's scrap some of the stuff that didn't work and bring it back some stuff that did. Why it took him 19 years to bring it back was never made sense to me to begin with, because I
Well,
never.
wasn't there a combination of things going on at that time though? Like Dick Ebersol had kind of lost power to NBC, and so he might have had to find a new network for it, and a few other things were going on like that, weren't
Well, and
there?
it was also the Janet Jackson thing. It was he had to really tone down the WWE because of the FCC crackdowns because of Janet and Justin Timberlake at the Super Bowl. There was a lot of things going on with the PC world, so he probably dismantled it simply so he could concentrate on what he needed to do to make the WWE or at WWF at the time still a viable product. But
Yeah.
it never made sense to me that he just gave up on it and didn't bring it back for 19 years. I'm really happy that even though he bailed on it again this year and he had shut the doors, he was done with it. I'm really happy that The Rock stepped up and purchased it. And I mean, Jesus Christ, the amount of money The Rock makes per movie, I think he can keep it running for a little while.
I think so too.
And
And as
maybe,
far and you had mentioned that you go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll go back to my point.
well, I was gonna say, a lot of people today now in 2020, especially, I mean, when Vince originally brought it or started it up, it was all the wrestling fans that kind of ran to it. Like, oh, football alternative, and you'd get the few football people here and there that would be checking it out, but ultimately it was the wrestling fans. Now in 2020, so many people hate Vince for what he did to wrestling in general. And I'm not going to say it was Vince's fault. I mean, we all know what happened, and Vince was the only dog in town for a while, and nobody else stepped up, and blah, blah, whatever. Regardless, a lot of people blame him. So the fall in ratings were more than likely because people were checking it out, the casual fans, and then they kind of went on their way. And the hardcore WWF fans that would have in 2001 been solidly behind him weren't there in 2020. But having a guy like The Rock behind it now is one of the best PR moves that they could have possibly made. Because The Rock is beloved across all media. Wrestling fans still look at his work in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they'll flock to him. Movie fans love him. Mainstream media, he's hysterical. They love him. People are going to flock to this simply because The Rock's name is attached to it now.
Yeah, what I was going to say about it, on top of what you said, is that um, 19 years ago, football was still big in the country, but it wasn't to the level that it is now.
No.
The fantasy sports thing has really taken off since then. People can't get enough of watching football every year. They only get it for about 4 or 5 months out of the year. So having an organization running like the XFL during that time frame when they're off and it's between the Super Bowl and the draft, I think really is going to capture a lot of people's imagination that are just missing football in general. I don't get it personally because I've never been a football fan, but I do know that it's a fever that takes over the country.
It's, you know, I think the reason why is because as much as we, as sports fans, and we're jumping into different pop culture, different than Doom Patrol, which is what this started with. So we're kind of jumping a little bit into some other pop culture here. But I think the reason why football appeals to so many people is it's one day a week. You have a team, you watch that team one day a week, you can commit that 3 hours to it. And during the game, during the 3 hours, there's maybe 35 to 40 minutes of actual play time that you have to watch. So you run a play, you've got 35 seconds to talk to your buddy. Then the play runs, you got another 30 seconds to talk to your buddy. Oh, commercial, 2 minute timeout, talk to your buddy. It's not like baseball, where literally I don't know another sport that is as fast paced as baseball. And to hear me say that is going to piss off a lot of people because I think it's slow and boring. But if you think about it, in a baseball game, it might go 4 hours, but there is 4 hours of constant something happening. Like, there's like constantly a pitch being delivered. There's constantly a ball in the air. There's constantly something happening. The only other sport in my mind that compares to the two of them as far as speed and excitement is hockey, because hockey is fast-paced like baseball and basketball for that matter, because basketball is a lot the same, where there's constantly something going on, even though there might be 15 seconds of shooting the ball. There's setting up plays, there's dribbling, there's all kinds of things. Hockey is fast-paced, constant action, constant movement, but also the hard-hitting style of football. So in my mind, hockey is the best of all three of the other sports put together.
Sure.
But I think what to my point, I think football, the reason why people glom onto football the way they do is because it's not 162 games in a 6 month stretch. It's not 81 games or 82 games in a 5 month stretch. It's 16 games over the course of 4 months. You have to watch one game a week. You get a lot of time during the game to socialize with your friends, and then you also get the enjoyment of what happens. That's why I think football gets caught on the way it did.
See, now what you just said about hockey is the way that I feel, and I know that as an American, I'm in the minority of this, but it's why I like soccer so much. Because when you watch a soccer match, there's something happening all over the field at
Hmm.
any given time. And the reason I prefer and while the sports are similar in goal, I mean it just to me I hate hockey because it's played on the ice on skates with a puck. And a stick. It's not, whereas soccer, you've got to, you're using your actual body. You got a ball. You're kicking into a net. You've got a goalie. That's there, and there's no pads in soccer either. That's the thing. So,
I don't
you
know.
know,
I when I watched my favorite player of all time gut through the performance that he did in, I think it was 2011. He had a punctured lung, he had broken ribs, he had a broken wrist, a separated shoulder, and he still started game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs and muscled his way through it, and then literally collapsed in the locker room afterwards. Spent 3 days in the hospital. You don't hear that in soccer because they fall down if somebody looks at them.
they also don't wear pads.
Same thing with basketball.
No, you're right. They don't wear pads in basketball either. That's
There's a
correct.
reason why the flop is a penalty.
It is not. That's the first three cards during a hand of Texas Hold'em.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't get that one either. Anyway, guys, so it looks like you got a little bonus episode of Pop Culture this week because Doom Patrol was great, absolutely great. You guys need to watch it. Watch these first three episodes. Watch the Donkey episode twice because that was absolutely phenomenal. Easily the best dialogue I've ever heard in any show. It's called Donkey Patrol, episode 2 of season 1. Watch all three of those, and then you got 2 weeks to get caught up to us as we're watching episode 4, 5, and 6, and we're gonna do that. Oh my God, I just got the hiccups. Holy crap! Episode 4, 5, and 6. We're gonna be watching that for 2 weeks from now, and
Absolutely.
stay tuned to our Patreon because we're gonna be talking about Ring of Honor and the best match of 2012. I'm going to go ahead and say it. The best match of 2012. We're going to be discussing that, and it's going to be on our Patreon tonight. Patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor. You guys got to get there. You got to subscribe. You've got to listen to this because this is going to be a fun show that we're going to talk about here in the next few minutes. And then, of course, follow us on YouTube. Or not YouTube. Well, yeah, follow us on YouTube, but also follow us on Twitter. I'm at Regi Co-op. He is at ZanmanLOP. Use the hashtag KOH. We're going to put that on everything we do, even the pop culture stuff, because technically this is Kingdom of Honor. We're just doing pop culture this week. Um, do that. We love you a long time.
And
He love you a long time.
speaking of loving each other a long time, remember, take care of yourselves out there in the world, and it's never goodbye.
God.
It's only till next time.
Love you all.